Okay, it is October 30, 3:30 p.m. and the Oconee County Aeronautics Commission meeting will come to order. There were no public comment people that applied today, so we'll move right in. Well, first, is there any comment or changes to the minutes from last meeting? I have a motion to accept them as written.
Motion.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Show those minutes accepted as written. Unfortunately, Jamie Gilbert, who is the County Economic Development Director, last minute had to cancel on us. I hate that because, and we will get him back again, but Jamie has a front seat on what's going on from county economic standpoint, and he was going to present that theory of economic development, but primarily how the airport contributes to that. I will say that, of course, those of us on the commission understand that the airport is a spoke on the wheel of the economy and the economic development of what's going on in the county. It is just that one part, but it is a big part. And sometimes we have more influence on what happens, sometimes not. But Jamie is a big believer in the airport, and we will get him back again. I know it'll be interesting for each of you to hear what he has to say. I'm going to address the change that we're looking at with FAA coming up. All of you are aware that it's here. Unfortunately, at this point, we don't know enough about it to really discuss it here. What I can tell you is that it is a change on the classification of airport operations. That's it. No other part of the airport, just the operations. And the FAA is changing our classification, and it's based entirely on approach speed, aircraft approach speed, and wingspan. Over the last several years, we've get bigger airplanes, faster approach, and the FAA is not just picking on us. They do this for every airport. As a matter of fact, Greenville downtown notified the same time that we were. So they're dealing with it also. Actually, it says that we're doing really well, but the change in category, it affects the size of the unobstructed area, both width and length. So it changes the amount of overrun that we have to have on the airport. It also changes the amount of unobstructed free area. We will have, well, let me say that our engineering firm, W.K. Dixon, they have this, they're experts in this thing, and they are putting together for the airport all of the possible directions we can go to satisfy this thing. And so until we get that, there's really not much purpose or any reason for us to discuss and talk about what ifs, because unless the engineers come up, they'll come up with all of the what ifs. They already know what those are, but until they sign off on it, we'd just be having a conversation of what if that really won't mean anything. But I can tell you that's what it will address, is how much room we have in overrun, how much unobstructed room we have also on the sides of the airport. And again, there are various ways to handle that. Each of you have seen some bit of, we've talked somewhat about what it looks like, but all of you know what the airport looks like and know where we have to go with that. And I'll really just leave it at that at this point, because anything that I would say at this point would be guessing until we hear from the engineers. We do have a meeting schedule establishment that we've got to do for next year. You should have that in front of you there. We've made it the fourth Thursday of the month at 3:30, and we'll continue on with that. Do any of you have any problem with those dates that you see there now?
Could we back up just a little bit?
Sure.
Could you talk a little bit about the FAA's requirements for meeting this criteria and the consequences of failing to meet those requirements?
Sure. The FAA has their authority to tell us, our county, what to do comes primarily from the fact that they supply millions and millions of dollars in grants to the airport. And when the county accepts those millions of dollars, the FAA says one of the parts of this agreement is that you will do what we say to do as far as how you operate and follow the FAA rules. If we were to say, well, we're not going to do that, the first thing they would do would be to say, get your contract out and look at that and give us that $12 million back if you're not going to live up to this contract.
Right.
And in the meantime, we're not going to give you any more. So there is a contract with the FAA that says you will abide by what we say. And you know, all of us have a habit of complaining sometimes about the FAA, but you know, they for, I don't know, a lot of years now have been operating the safest aviation network in the world. And they do a really good job. And they have been in touch with Jeff, and this is not something that they're going to show up and say, get this changed right now. What they're saying is, here are the guidelines. We want to know how you're going to approach that and how you're going to fix it. That's where the engineering people come into this. We're very fortunate because we've got Jeff and Melinda who've been at our airport now for a lot of years. They know what's going on out there. This is not new to them. They deal with the FAA on a regular basis. So this is not a confrontational type thing. This is, here's some new guidelines. You need to meet these. Tell us how you're going to do that. And by the way, they're going to pay for it. So that's, I guess, is still that's a general answer, but does that cover your
Yes,
question?
thank you.
Are there any commissioners that have any comments that you want to? If you don't, I don't have anything else. Entertain a motion for adjournment. Have a motion, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.